Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Anchored Identity Podcast, where your belief is your anchor. So, once again, I say it's every episode, but we have another special guest. All right, we have Juan Carlos in the building. So, hi, Juan Carlos, and thank you for coming on.
Hi, Brianna. How you doing?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. So, Juan Carlos, tell us about yourself. Who are you? I know you got some military. We're both vets, so let us know. I don't want some thunder.
All right. So, who am I? That's a very bright question. So I'm in my mid 40s. I'm a Hispanic male. I I retired about 5 years ago from the military. I did 20 years in the Marine Corps, but that's not who I am right now. I'm a man of God. I'm a servant, and I currently don't hold a job. I do work every once in a while, but not because I don't want to hold a job. I'm waiting on God's guidance. I feel like God has something else for me instead of sticking me from an 8 to 5 job. I think He has something for me, and I'm just waiting on that. And He has blessed me with the pension, so might as well take advantage and do do what He thinks He's calling me to do. Right. So, like I said, I did 20 years in the Marine Corps. I was actually born in Mexico City. My parents, migrated here when I was 10 years old. After that, moved to Colorado. I decided to go on my own when I was 20, and a big part of that it was when you go to church when you're young, your parents take you, right. So I used to hear this old lady always ask for their kids. It's like, can you pray for my kids? They don't have a job, they're struggling, blah blah blah. So when she answered, the pastor would be like, "What's your kid's name? What's his age? Blah blah blah." And I don't remember the names, but I remember that the kid that she was talking about was about in his 40s. So when I hear that, I'm like, I don't want to be that kid. I don't want to be at home living, out of my parents. So that there was like a seed, in me saying I'm not gonna be that guy. So as soon as I was able, I went on my own, and I had plans. I made my plans, but that's not what God had for me. So He sent the recruiter, and He's like, "This is what you're gonna do." So
What plans did you have?
my plans were I had an uncle that lived out of state, so I was gonna reach out to him and just tell him my side. I want to move out of my parents' house. I want to be independent. Can you foster me or give me space to and a
Yeah.
job? So that was my plan. But looking back, that was a really bad plan because my uncle was not walking good steps. He had some bad habits. So I'm glad that God took me a different route. And so I ended up joining the Marine Corps, but I did not go to the recruiter looking into joining the Marine Corps. I actually went and took the test for the Air Force because I wanted to be in the aviation field. I wanted to be a pilot. I was 20 years old. I'm like, I want to be a pilot. So I took the test. I passed the test, but it wasn't high enough for them. You need to be super smart for the Air Force. So as I was walking out of the office, the recruiter from the Marines, saw me. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing? We got aviation too. So what do you score?" So I told them my score. They're like, "Oh yeah, we can take you." So they got me and they brainwashed me and I signed up. And so that's how I ended up in the Marine Corps. It wasn't my first choice, but after hearing them, I'm like, okay, I can identify myself with you guys. Looking sharp, being very disciplined. So I'm like, okay, I can do this. I was very shy at that time, so
You keep saying this. You told me this before that you were shy. I don't see the shy.
so I was super quiet. I was the you know, like I mentioned to you on Sunday, one of my Sunday school teachers, I
Mm.
you know I got in touch with her somehow, and she looked at me and she's like, "You were that little weird guy that never talk." That's what she called me. I'm like, oh well, guess what? I'm not that weird guy. I'm
No.
actually very successful now, and I'm probably doing better than you. I didn't say that, but I was thinking that. I didn't say that. I was thinking that, but I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, so I was a little humble. I'm like, yeah, that was me. So that was that. But I was quiet. In boot camp for the Marine Corps, 3 months,
Oh,
and
shoot.
so the drill instructors didn't even know who I was until the last month. I was so quiet. I was always, I don't want to say sneaking, but I was just do what I was told, and that's it. I was never putting myself out there, responding. I was always doing just following orders, which that makes you a great Marine. Follow orders. So at the end of boot camp, that's when they figured out who I was, and that's when I started, getting extra workout, getting some IT time. But yeah, so I graduated. I did my first 5 years in Camp Pendleton. I I went in the Marine Corps in 2000, January 2000. So I was actually sweeping the shop when 9/11 hit, and everybody, all my other, co-workers, that were like, "Oh, I want to go and fight." We were on a non-deployable unit at the time, so they did this thing they call stop loss. So you can't move from squadron or from places, so you're stuck where you're at. So I was stuck there for 5 years. I wasn't the one saying I want to go, but I'm like, I was the one like, if they go, I go, you know. But I wasn't really like crying or trying to be like, please send me, please send me. No, I'm like, I'm doing whatever you guys tell me to do.
Yeah.
So I did my first 5 years, and uh, at the time, when you're lower rank, you don't make a lot of money, and I was making a lot of money before getting in the Marine Corps, and I was like, this is not worth it. I'm just gonna get out and start doing my own thing. But one of my supervisors, uh, I still remember his name, Gunnery Sergeant Bunch. I don't remember what he told me. I actually ran into him later in my career, and I asked him, "Do you remember what you told me?" And he's like, "I don't remember." So whatever he told me, it pretty much brainwashed me, and it didn't just got me to reenlist. He also got me to request orders to do to be a drone instructor.
You say he brainwashed you. Are you sure he just didn't encourage you, you know?
It was probably what he did, but that was the term that we had at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
He encouraged me. He saw potential in me, so he told me, you're very smart. You're doing this. This is what you need. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So he was giving me a lot of encouragement.
Do you think that's what ignited you out of your shyness?
Not really, not yet.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
still shy. I was still shy. So, but that's I guess that's part of the process that God, wanted me to take. So
Mm-hmm.
in my so I re-enlisted and I went straight to the drill field to drill instructor school, and that was the toughest, I guess, experience that I had. Not even boot camp was as tough as drill instructor school,
Mm-hmm.
because having your peers, you know being against you and saying things that they just want to break you. And I was already a Marine for 5 years. I'm like, you can't do that, dude. Like, but that was just part of the training. But it was super hard. But the 3 years that I did a drill instructor make me open up more, make me have confidence in myself, and it was a matter of repetition, because I did what, 6 platoons throughout my career, throughout my 3 years, and it was the same thing. the first one, I struggled. The second one, okay, I'm better. The third one, I'm like, I already know this. So it was just a matter of repetition, repetition, the same thing over. And as I got, more confident, I was adding stuff to whatever, what I learned at the beginning. So I think that right there, being a drill instructor, is what got me out of my shell, I guess. And I'm not gonna say I'm not shy. I'm still shy, but and I say shy because I'm the type of guy that if I walk into a room, I'm not gonna approach you and try to be friends with you. I'm just gonna stay there and just observe. I like to observe, 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 and then that's when if people approach me, I can open up, but
Yeah.
I'm not the one looking for to go. I'm very, I don't want to say untrustworthy, but I like to observe a lot.
Well, you are trustworthy. I trust you. We have all type of conversations all the time.
Yeah, but we know each other. I
Okay.
think the first day you probably didn't even trust me. You're like, who's this guy? So that's how I felt, when I
Mm-hmm.
first walked into a room with strangers. That's
Yeah,
how
yeah.
I think a lot of people do that. Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see some people that, they just open up right away. And I'm not that type of person.
Yeah. So drill sergeant. So you did 20 years. Did you go in thinking I'm gonna do 20 years, I'm gonna be a lifer? Or
When I went in, I didn't know what to expect. Towards the end of my first enlistment, that's when I'm like, I want to get out.
mm,
After I finished my drill instructor tour, I'm like, if I can do this, I can finish my 20 years. Because, I mean, not that I don't know anything else to do, but I'm like, why not? I
yeah.
want to serve. I want to be able to encourage more kids because looking at the other instructors and the other Marines with higher ranks, I didn't like the way they treat people.
Mm,
So I wanted to be that change. Okay, I'm going to be the staff NCO that is going to make a difference. I'm going to correct you, but I'm not going to yell at you.
yeah.
I'm going to hold you accountable for it, but I'm not going to play games with you. So that I wanted to be that, I wanted to be that. And I think I did that. And I can honestly say that if any of my Marines, they get asked about me, they're like, oh yeah, he was a fair, person.
Mhm. Was that something, the person that you wanted to be in the Marines, was that something that you didn't have early on?
I was raised in a Christian family. My dad, he was very strict, and
Mm-hmm.
to a point where I'm like, you're you're exaggerating. That's what I used to think.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back, I'm like, he was looking out for us. He was
Mm-hmm.
really looking out for us. But I don't think that had anything to do with, my decision of staying 20 years.
Well, I mean, like in the Marines, like as an early Marine, was it that you were missing people who were good good people? Like you said, like you saw some people, you saw upperclassmen who were mistreating people and so forth and so on. Was that your
My leaders, for some reason, I always had, God's coverage in me. And I used to see the same guy chewing somebody out,
mm-hmm,
but being nice to me.
mm-hmm,
And we were like out of the same class, like same rank, same. But they would they would play games with other people. But when it came to me, like they wouldn't do nothing to me. Like I'm like, and other NCOs will see that and be like, you know, I always saw you and I saw something different in you. That's why we didn't mess with you. Because I got back with some of them. I usually don't stay in contact with them because I was the type of Marine that I'm gonna do my time here, and as soon as I leave base, I'm not gonna hang out with anybody else.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
I got a life. I got enough of the Marine Corps.
yeah,
Did 12 hours, 10 hours, whatever the case was.
yeah. Don't even associate me with the military. I am a civilian right now.
Yeah, yeah. So, but as I picked up rank, and I was a supervisor, I needed to have my cell phone on all the time, in case,
Yeah.
somebody got in trouble. And I'm sure you can relate to that. So that's one thing that I don't what's it called, miss from the Marine Corps. As soon as I got out, I turned off the phone. I'm like, no more. I want to sleep like a baby.
Yes. I remember the last day. I still have my uniform hanging up from the last day I wore it. I can't touch it.
I said the same thing, but there's been a couple occasions where they want, retired people to do ceremonies like we had, a
Hmm.
few weeks ago. And the uniform that I used on Sunday, that was the uniform that I got retired on. And the last time that I went on base in uniform, that was it right there.
How did
And
it feel?
I had my sleeves full because I got out, when the sleeves were up. And, the other Marine told me, oh, we're going to go sleeves down. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have to unroll my sleeves. It's not gonna be the same anymore. It felt weird a little bit because I also had a goatee, so I had to shave within regulations.
Hmm.
Even though I'm a civilian, I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Knowing myself, I can't do that. I was the type of Marine that I had a fresh haircut every Monday. It wasn't required, but every Monday, and dry clean every 2 weeks. So I mean, I always, I wasn't a big speaker, but I always knew that your example said more than whatever you said.
Hmm.
You don't have to say a lot of things to influence people. So I knew I had to, be square away. And one of my instructors taught me that. It's like when you do a uniform inspection, you got as many Marines in the formation. You got, let's say, 50 Marines. 50 Marines are inspecting you. So I took that to heart, and I'm like, they're not gonna find anything wrong. So I was that type of Marine, took things to the extreme, I guess. And I, well, since we're talking about that, I have a not anymore, but I used to have OCD where I needed everything in the right place. So part of being a drill instructor taught me, have everything marked, have everything in its place, have everything accounted for. So that I don't want to say that's good or bad, but
Hmm.
if you do it to an extreme, it can hinder relationships or hinder friendships.
Yeah.
So, so God put me through an experience that I wasn't ready for, but it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot, and that experience, happened when I was in the Marine Corps. I've been married twice. My
Hmm.
first marriage didn't work out, and so we ended up getting divorced. And after that, I was single for 3 years, and I received orders to Hawaii. So when I received orders to Hawaii, I'm like, "Ooh, this is good.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go to Hawaii. I'm a single guy. I'm gonna go to Hawaii. I'm gonna go have fun." That's what I was thinking. If I'm honest,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was gonna go have fun. At least I thought. So, but I'm not the type of guys that go and approach people or women. So, but within my first 30 days in the island, I remember the exact day because it was a holiday. I was supposed to be at work, but it was a holiday, and I ended up going on a run. It was Cinco de Mayo.
Mhm.
So I went on a run to Ala Moana Park, which is in Waikiki in Hawaii. So I went on a run, and as soon as I started running, I saw this female. She was tying her shoes. So I don't want to say I wanted to hit on her, but I'm like, come on, don't stop. Keep going. And I said that, and she ignored me. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to look like a creep. So I kept going. So I kept going. About halfway through the route, I stopped. I did some sit-ups, some push-ups, some exercise, and then somehow she passed me. And and I wasn't waiting for her to pass me. I was just running.
Yeah.
So I kept running again, jumped to the course, and then I catch up to her. And this time she was walking, and I'm like, "Oh, this is the same girl." I guess it's a second chance for me to say, "What's up?" So I'm like, "Come on, keep going," and I did some hand signals. "Come on, let's go." So she started running, and we start, talking. "Hey, hi, how you doing?"
As you're running.
As we're running, but it was really, really, really slow. It was really super slow. So I kind of slowed down to her pace because I wanted to talk to her. So within, within the first 5 minutes, she was very friendly. She was super friendly, and I guess she asked the right questions. And we figure out that we're both from Mexico City. We're both in the military. We're both E7s. There was a lot of things in common, So I'm like, oh, okay. So she was interested. I was interested. So I forgot who asked, but one of us asked, "What are you doing later on?" And she's like, "Well, it's Cinco de Mayo. I'm gonna go try out a new restaurant in North Shore." And she's like, "You want to come?" I'm like, "Yes, of course I want to come." So we exchanged numbers. I left, and right before, maybe about 40 minutes before leaving, I sent her a text message. "Hey, you want to meet over there, or do you need a ride?" And no response. And then she's like, "I'll meet you over there." So, later she told me, it's like, "What is this guy, thinking, coming to pick me up in my house?" She confessed to me later on.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but we end up meeting over there. I got there early, like a Marine, like a good Marine. About 20 minutes before, the date. And and like I said, I was active duty. I was still more strict on my timing. So I was there early, and I parked and I went inside. And then she got there, and then she went inside, and then, "Hey, how you doing?" It was a small place, so we both ordered, and then the food was really bad. I was eating it just because she was there, and I saw her that she was not eating. I'm like, how's your plate?" She's like, "Oh, it's not good." I'm like, "Well, don't eat it. Mine's not good." So we end up leaving, and so I asked her, "So what are you doing, afterwards?" And she's like, "Oh, I got to go to the commissary on Air Force Base." And I'm like, "You know what? I haven't been there, and I got to go, do some grocery shopping. You mind if I go with you?" I asked her. And she's like, "Okay." So it was raining, in the island, it rains all the time. So she started driving, and I followed her. And maybe she got to the island maybe a couple months before me or something like that. So she was driving like a California girl, like really fast, super fast. So here I am behind her, vroom, vroom, like crazy drivers, and I gave her a hard time later. It's like, "You were trying to lose me, right?" She's like, "That's not what I tried." So we got there. We end up doing, grocery shopping, and I asked her, "What do you do later?" Oh, she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go watch a movie," and it was the oh man, I forgot the name, but I used to remember. It was
What was it
Iron Man.
about? Oh, Iron
Iron.
Man.
It was Iron Man. So I'm like, "Yeah, I want to go watch it." So, and this time I went and picked her up. So she got a little more confidence. I went and picked her
Mm-hmm.
up, and after that, I told her, "You know what? From now on, you don't have to go to movies by yourself." And we start just dating. I never asked her to be my girlfriend. We just started dating. Like maybe a couple months later, I'm like, "Have I asked you out?" It's like, "No, I will." Joking around. But, eventually I asked her out. So we end up, being boyfriend, girlfriend for a year. And before that year, I proposed to her. And within a year, we got married.
Mm.
It was fast. It was that type of relationship where it's the right person. We never argue. We never, it was like, what is it, a love story kind of, I was,
Oh.
oh, wow, very different from my first marriage. So I'm like, I want to do this. And so we got married. and she got deployed. Within 3 months, she got deployed. In her first 2 weeks, she called back. She's like, they're gonna send me back because they find cancer on me. So, so after that, we start going to a lot of appointments. We start, doing this thing for. When she got the news, they told her you got 10 months, so get you a first rating because that's it. So she was very devastated. She was sad. The doctor, when she gave her the news, I wasn't there. So when the doctor gave her the news, he was very cold. Like just like saying, "Oh, today's Wednesday. It's gonna rain." Like some
Yeah.
random, like no tact at all. So I was very mad. I was very mad. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna do this. So she got 10 months, but she ended up not taking, the medications that they prescribe and all that, and she ended up living about 3 more years. So, but in that process, God was working with me and through her as well, because she was able to reach a lot of people. She was, like I say, she was always happy, always happy. And when you see somebody that it's in that situation,
Yeah.
happy, you're like, okay, I need to be happy. If she's happy, I got no reason why not to be happy.
Yeah.
So she passed away, and being a man, being a military guy, I told myself, okay, it's all gonna be okay. It's God's plan. He knows what he's doing. And I used to remember I was the one telling people sometimes, hey, God's gonna cover you. So this time it was me. So I'm like, I gotta be strong. So I was strong for the first year, and a lot of people, like, oh man, you're such a strong guy, blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Mm-hmm.
But after that year, that anniversary when she passed, it hit me. Everything hit me. It came to me like, okay, this is real. She's gone. So I went on a depression, my mood changed, my drive of doing things changed, my OCD went away. I used to wash dishes, and
Mm-hmm.
as soon as dishes were there for a couple of days, 3 days, it didn't matter. So everything about me changed, because of that at the year mark. But I wasn't looking, I wasn't reaching out for help. I wasn't reaching out. I thought that, just being a Christian was gonna, the thing. So, but eventually I started, looking for help. And, and honestly, I don't want to, yeah, I didn't actually do I was doing the therapy when I was active duty because mandatory. But as soon as I got out, I stopped because we're talking about 3 years before I got out when she passed. So I was still active duty for 2 years after, that year mark.
Yeah.
But everything about me changed. I was gaining weight. I was still, try to be that leader, but it wasn't happening.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got out. Uh, I started going to the same church that we were doing, we were going. And that only lasted for like a year and a half. After that, things start kicking back. I'm like, okay, I need to space. I need space for me. I need people to see me different because in my mind, I always thought that people saw me with, with different, like,
Yeah.
poor guy, poor guy, poor guy. That's what I thought. Maybe they didn't, and I'm sure they didn't, but that's the way I felt.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up changing church, and I went to the Rock here in Point Loma.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I chose that is because it's a good message. It's a good, doctrine, but they don't ask you to serve, and you don't have to serve if you don't want to. Like, it's more like go receive, do your thing. If you're ready
Yeah.
to serve, sign up. So that's what I like about that church. So I end up staying there for a little bit over a year until I I touched bases with one of the members of Hard Revolution. I was working out. His name is Jesse. You know him. So I reached out, and he talked. Well, my friend talked to him, and then he find out that he was in the Marines, and then he's like, "Hey, that guy's he was in the Marine too." So he's like, I want you to meet him. Like, so I went and met him, say, what's up, hoorah, all that stuff. And that's it, because I'm like that. Like, I don't
Yeah.
open up. But then, a couple weeks later, that same friend, he was going to hard rep every once in a while. And he's like, hey, I saw Jesse at church. So when he said that, that caught my attention. And I'm like, Jesse's at church. Okay. So I went to Hard Revolution.
But did you think that he wasn't like, oh, this is a someone
Nah,
else trying?
nah. I'm like, I just want to go say what's up in church, So he sees me that I'm going to church.
Okay.
So he saw me. He recognized me from the gym, and then after that, every time he saw me at the gym, But I started going to hard rep after that Sunday. So hard rep, I really liked it from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody super nice at the beginning. On the welcoming, all that stuff, that experience that a lot of people get when they go to Hard Revolution. I felt that,
Yeah.
but I was a different person when my first day in Hard Revolution. I was a different person. I think I shared this before with people. Is when people used to hand me their hand, say hi to me with my own hand, I will push them back so I won't get a hug. I
Okay.
was I was keeping my distance because I was in a place where I wasn't ready for that,
Yeah.
and I wasn't feeling it. But little by little, I got integrated, with Jesse's help. Uh, he asked me to, well, he likes to look out for people. So he asked me, what do you do for work? I'm not working. I'm like, oh, I got a job for you, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I sell insurance. Would you like to do that? I'm like, Jesse, I'm not open with people. I don't know how to say hi. I can't go sell things if I don't even like to say hi
Yeah.
to people. He's like, I got the perfect job for you. So he put me with the greeters. So he put me into greeting people at church. At first, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Little by little, I started, getting the hang of it, opening up more, be more friendly, actually give a smile.
So
And
what made you say yes to being a greeter?
you know what? It was part of Jesse and part something inside me saying you have to start being active in church. Because I used to be active in church before.
Mm-hmm.
I used to play the guitar and sing in front of a smaller church. I used to
Carlos, you can
I
sing?
sometimes.
Oh, you should have never told me that.
Uh, the pastor in my church one time, he took a break, like 5 weeks or 3 weeks, something like that. So he picked some of the men to actually preach, and he asked me to preach once. So I preached once already. So I was active, I was somebody that they trusted. They uh, they gave me the keys to the church back then. Like now, I'm also able to, have keys to the church. So people trust on me, and sometimes I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing right, but I'm doing something right. And not that that I want to be like, oh, I want to show up because no, I don't. But it's just something that God has allowed me to be trustworthy. So that's why I say yes, because I'm like, I need to get back. I need to start feeling sorry for myself and just get back, to incorporate to society again, because I was just by myself. Uh, so what else? What else? Where are we at?
So
And
you're on the greeting team. Wait, let's back up. So you can sing, you can play the guitar, and you preach. Okay. I wrote that down. Go ahead.
I think this was a bad idea. All right. So after that, I did greeting at 9 in the morning because I'm an early guy. And after that, Jesse asked me to do 11 because they needed people at 11. So I started doing that. But in between that, Jesse also introduced me to a gentleman that had a men's group. And he told that guy, hey, this is Juan Carlos. he can help you with the group. Like literally, he told him he can help you with the group. Not he can be a member, he can help you. And this guy took it very seriously. So he took me in, and within less than a month, he's like, "Hey, I got something to do next week. Can you cover for me?" I'm like, "Sure, I can do that." So I covered one time, and then it happened again, a few weeks later. And then at the beginning of 2024, he told me, "You know what? I'm going through some stuff, and I'm gonna be gone for 2 months. Can you cover me?" I'm like, "Oh, 2 months." I'm like, "I mean, I can, but I mean, you're coming back." He's like, "Yeah, I'm coming back." And before that, they were asking me already, "Hey, can you open your own life group?" The other leaders were asking me that. I'm like, "You know what? I'm not ready," because I always, for some reason, I always say no when they first ask me to do stuff, and not because I can, but I believe that there's always a process to doing something before doing it. So in this occasion, I was like, I haven't done a mess. I haven't done leadership academy. I haven't done a lot of things. I just got to the church. I'm pretty new. I need to know this before I can start being a leader and telling people, hey, you guys need to go to the MS because you're gonna get asked, how is it? And you can't, just tell them, oh, I haven't done it, but you need to go. So that's the type of person that I am. I need to walk it before telling people to do it. So I end up doing all that, and I end up taking over 2 months, and that those 2 months turned into a year. So he ended up, just leaving the what's it called, the ministry. So I took over. So I'm like, okay, here we go. So it all went well for a while, but then at the end of the day, I think they were there mainly because of that guy. Looking for him, not looking for God, looking for the connection with him. And maybe my last few groups, it was like four of us, three of us, sometimes none. So I was asked by a different pastor to be part of his team. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what to expect from these guys. So I'm just going to leave the group. So I ended up leaving the ministry of being, because I'm like, I need to put all my attention to this. And that's what I did. So I'm, uh, I'm part of the dream team, one of the members of. It's not called the core anymore, but it used to be called core. It's
Yeah.
now called coaches.
Can you explain what the dream team is?
Yeah. The dream team on Heart Revolution is it's just all the ministries. That's what we're called, the dream team, which is as for angels, security, greeters, ushers, uh, safety team. Already said that. I think that's it.
Hospitality.
Hospitality, yeah, cleaning ministry. So that's the dream team. So the person that was in charge of dream team, he saw he saw me there every Sunday. Not the current person, but the previous one. He saw me there every Sunday, and he saw that I didn't miss a Sunday, that I show up really early. And he asked me, hey, do you want to be? He's like, I want to talk to you, and I knew what it was about. So I kind of like went around, like, okay, we'll talk. That went on for a couple months until one day I'm like, okay, I'll do it, because I knew he was going to ask me that. So we talk, and he's like, think about it. I really want people that are consistent, people that have that leadership, and I can see that on you, blah, blah, all that stuff. No? So I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So I was the first one in his core team. After that, he recruited more, and we pretty much helped him. We were his right hand man on how to control, because one person cannot control all the ministries. So he assigned us a ministry each, just to oversee them, not to take over, but oversee them and help them out and be that link, to the higher ups, I guess, because
Yeah.
there's always going to be needs from the ministries for just guidance. So I was that for or the ushers. But then that leader was moved to a different um, task, I guess, or different
Hmm.
ministry. So they replaced them. And I don't want to say replace, but
Yeah.
somebody else took over. And so he started from scratch. So I was able to, he asked me to stay in that team because I was already doing morning meetings. So before the service, we have a meeting with the dream team just to go over the order of service, what we're gonna need, if we're gonna pass handouts, uh, just talk about how the things are gonna be, and also we go over a value, one of the values from church. Just explain that way everybody, starts hearing what we're supposed to do and the type of atmosphere that we want to create.
So you went from not wanting to talk to people to greeting people
That's
to
correct.
now leading a whole ministry.
That's correct. So like I say, I did MS, I did Leadership Academy, and then after Leadership Academy, there was another program called Freedom Academy,
Hmm.
and Freedom Academy, I don't know why I signed up, but when I heard it, something is like I need to do that. I need to do that course, Freedom Academy, because I like to learn. I like to
Hmm.
learn to be a better leader because most of people, or at least me, I feel insecure sometimes, and I feel like I don't know. So I'm like, I need to learn more. The more courses, the better. I mean, as long as I get something, a little thing.
Hmm.
So I'm like, I need to go learn. But when I did the Freedom Academy, it was not what I was expecting. I was expecting classes of being a leader and all that stuff, and it was something else, something different. And I'm really glad that I did it, because these sessions that during the courses they'll take a pause and they'll make you go and ask somebody a question and just listen. And and at first I'm like, oh, man, that's super easy, but it's not easy to listen to
No.
somebody. You ask a question, and in your mind, you already want to resolve what he's telling you. You want to give him feedback. And it was very hard at the beginning. And when it was time for me to talk, I shared two things that I can remember that have always bothered me. And the first one was that I shared with one of those students that, I consider myself not smart. And why do I say that? It's because, through the leadership, through the Freedom Academy, they teach you that everything that you feel about yourself comes from when you were a child. Everything that happens to you in childhood has an effect to you in the present. So now, when she was saying that, it hit me. It hit me because I remember, my mom. She didn't do it on purpose, but she used to call me names that I didn't know, like that I was, like dumb, that I have like a, it doesn't translate good in English, but pretty much she was saying that I had a little brain, like chicken brain, like, and it was something that, a lot of Hispanics will say, like it will say cerebro de pollo, which is chicken brain, because I wasn't smart or I wasn't thinking or because I did something. So she'll say it. I don't know if I'm sure she didn't mean it, but hearing it so much, I always told myself, I got a little brain. I got a brain. I got a little brain. I'm not smart. I'm not smart. And I grew up thinking that, you know. But through the academy, it made me realize that one, that's not true because God has proven to me that I'm capable. I have done a lot of things that I wouldn't have done if I was dumb.
Yeah.
Just simple as that. I was sharing with you, I reached my what's called my rank of EA in 20 years, and that's something that you don't see too often. And
What is
so,
the average?
well, the average for EA, I think it's about over 20,
Over
and
20.
over 20, and I picked it up at 17,
Wow.
17 years. So, and I picked up E7 at 10 years. So there was a lot of things that God told me, you're not dumb. I'm with you.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I always thought, I don't even know how I got here. I don't know how I reached this. But now, looking back, I'm like, I know how I did it.
Mm.
And a perfect example is when I was doing my A school. A school is the school that they send you before you go and do your job for the military. That the training that you get
Yeah.
before you do your job. So I was at the aviation mechanic school. It was a class of maybe 6 or 7. So it was a lot of interaction with the supervisors, teachers.
Mhm.
But out of those 7, everybody passed, and I fell. I fell. I was like, I'm like, why? I was feeling bad.
Yeah.
So they recycled me. So I ended up going again on a different class. So I did this class and I passed. But one thing that I learned is that everybody in that previous class, in that first class, was sent to the East Coast for their first, what's called job
Mhm.
or squadron. They were all in the East Coast. If I would have been there, I would have got sent to Iraq, like
Wow.
like that. Plus, I didn't know anybody in the East Coast. Like I didn't have any family. I didn't know nothing. So, and that second, when I got recycled, this other class, most of them got orders to California. And that's where I wanted to go from the beginning. I'm like, I want to go to California. I remember, praying when I was part of that first class. I was praying, God, I want to go to California. I want to go to California. And I failed. I'm like, what are you doing, God? So he answered me, but the process, to get to California wasn't at that first class. It was
Mm.
on the recycle class, which it was going to take me to California. So I'm like, okay, he's looking out for me. Even if I fail, I didn't fail because I got the place where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
So I went to California. I had aunts, I had family, I had my old church in California. So I was able to visit my old church and be there around people that I knew. So that's one way that I see God that's always with me. So going back to Freedom Academy. So that was one example, that I thought that I wasn't smart, and Freedom Academy, make me realize why I was thinking that, and the important thing here is that when you know why it's happening, you can change it, and
Yeah.
you're like, okay, my mom said that, but that's not true. She didn't mean it, and you can probably have conversations with your parents, and it's like, no, I didn't mean that. And I mean, seeing other kids, it's just mostly like something they say, but now I see the impact that things, have when you tell people they're not smart. And the other thing, it's like I like I mentioned to you, it was my wife passed, right, in 2017, and I never went to seek counseling for that. So when I got to Heart Revolution, I was still mad, and I was still mad at God, and I didn't know that. I was mad at God, and I didn't know that, but at the same time, I was protecting God, if I can say that. I was,
Explain.
I was saying, no, God knows what He's doing. God has a purpose, so I'm not gonna be mad at Him. So I was still, I was mad at Him, but I didn't, like at the same time, I didn't want to be mad at Him because He knows
Mhm.
everything that it's right. So this counselor, talked to me, made me say it out loud, and actually, she walked me through a experience where I told God, I'm sorry, I forgive you,
Mhm.
because everything that I was holding back, it was against him. Like I was mad at him, but I didn't want to say it aloud. I didn't want to say it aloud, but I was mad. So I'm like, I forgive you. And when I said that, I felt so relieved. So I was able to break through that, with their guidance with Freedom Academy. So I'm really pleased that I was able to go. I remember one of the preachers that he always in one of his prayers he always said it's not a coincidence. It's not a mistake that you're here or a coincidence that you're here. And I think that applies to everything. When you get somewhere, it's not a mistake that you're there. It's not just by coincidence. So I had to be there. God put the funds to get there, the ideas, the people that, hey, you're gonna go. People reminding you, are you gonna do this? So I think when you hear that enough, you have to follow uh, that voice within you, which is the Holy Spirit, and just do it. Take that step.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things, that after that after that academy, I I don't want to say I'm fully confident about myself, but I feel a lot better.
Mhm.
I am a smart guy, and God loves me. And even though He did something to me, He didn't do it because of hate. It was something that it was going to happen. And but yeah, so that
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Oh my God. I've learned so much from you. I took notes. I got some quotes I'm gonna use for you. So
all right.
I know the one you said, like, God is always with me. I feel like that's your motto. Like, God is always with me. Um, and the example you gave of how you failed and you still got the blessing that you wanted. So it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Exactly.
God, what are you doing? Oh, okay. I see it now. No, yeah, that makes so much sense. And then you said that you were protecting God.
Yeah, I never saw it that way until I went to that course. Because if somebody else would have done it, like, oh, kills your wife, you're gonna blame him right away.
Mm-hmm.
But since this time, it was God itself, that allowed, that cancer to go through her. Like, I'm not gonna blame him, but it was him that took her.
Yeah.
But I was trying not to be mad at him.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes to heal, you have to be mad at people, and let them know how you feel, and then after that, find peace and apologize.
Yeah. I love it because you'll be surprised. Maybe you're not, but there's so many people who are upset with God. I've been mad at God, and we've been taught that, oh, you can't, or you're not supposed to talk to God in a certain way, or you're supposed to be, respectful and at all times because he's God. But when you start realizing that he's your dad, and of course, any good parent will want to know if their child is upset.
Yeah, yeah,
He knows, but like you said, after you actually said it out loud and you actually admitted it, it's like this, okay, I feel so much better.
yeah, exactly.
And I know for me, it's after I've said it, now I'm able to hear and see more the things that I was missing. Like you think something along the lines of what you were saying. So I definitely appreciate you sharing. I thank you for coming on. Thank you for teaching me and the people who are listening to this podcast and see this podcast. Um, but before we go, is there any closing remarks, any quick pieces of advice you would want to give someone who may hear this?
Yeah. So at the beginning, you asked me who am I, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a leader in work. Why do I say in work? Because we always learn. We're
Mm.
always learning. We're always learning. So I'm a leader in work. That doesn't mean that I don't know how to do my job. It's just that I'm constantly learning. So that's one thing that somebody needs to hear, that is that you always learn something. And if you're not learning, that's when things are going bad.
Yeah. Thank you again. And of course, I would love to have you on another episode if you so will. But until next time, guys, thank you for being with us, for sharing this hour with us. And until next time, know that God loves you, know that you are a King's kid, and He is always with you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.